so far this week, we've got 1,044 total for the town of Clinton. We're watching 107, and we have a total of 1,037 that are all done. And what good news is on January 3rd to the 9th, we had 127 cases. January 10th to the 16th, we had 92. January 17th to the 20th, so far this week, we only have 28. So hopefully it's coming down.
Hopefully.
Okay?
So, as you know, last Thursday we held a clinic up at the high school, and we were able to administer 250 vaccines. So it was first responders, the courthouse, and the funeral directors. And then we had a bunch of people coming from out of town. It was regionalized, so we had people coming from Fitchburg Garden who couldn't make it on the day that they had it in their town. So none of them went unused. We opened 25 vials. We used every shot. So I think things went smoothly. We had a few hiccups along the way. It's our first time, but we'll iron that out the next time we go back. So scheduled, we'll have to do the second shot for those 250. We're still in phase one. And Tom's going to explain how this is going to work the rest of the way out.
So we just got through the phase one. Now we're the next phase is after the first responders is congregate care setting, which we mean anybody for the elderly in our housing developments that don't get out. I talked to the HUD today, and it looks like between the Gardner, Leominster, they're trying to do another vaccination, but because we're involved with all of them, it seems like it works a lot better than just try to say, well, we need 155 for Clinton, but because they want you to be, and every time they do a vaccination, they want to be able to do at least 200. So if we go with Gardner, Leominster, Fitchburg, we can get 800. That's how we got it the last time. And right now we're in the process of finding out. Talked to Mr. Curry from Fitchburg who put it in, but we also found out that he was assured that the people who got it the first time, that he's going to be allotted the 800 doses for, which was good news. We didn't know that was going to happen. The next phase, in phase two, I look at it, they got to get through phase one first. Right. Before they're going to start, because they've already had changes to phase two. There was going to be 75 and over. Now they're going to, I think they're going to put the 65 and over in the same group. That's the last thing that we heard, and we're just waiting to hear about that to get going.
Right. So to be clear, I've got a lot of people that have asked me questions, as I'm sure they've contacted you guys. We're not setting this schedule. We're taking this from the state, and when they have their supply from wherever they're getting it, it trickles down to us. It's not like we have any answers right now.
It seems like the state's giving us like maybe a week's notice. Okay. Like we were supposed to get on January 4th. We didn't get it till the following week, so everything got pushed back a week. So like when we talked to MPHN, as soon as they get it, they schedule it. Everybody can do it within a couple of days. Mr. Cermak, Mr. Myers, they were grateful they let us use the gym in short notice. We were in and out of there, so it worked out.
Great.
So when we do get to phase two, and we're talking seniors and teachers, and that's a lot of people. I talked to Holly today in the clerk's office, and just 60 and over, there's 3,700 people in this town. So I'm not sure how they're going to do it. What we're going to ask from the board is if we can get a message out to the people in town. We don't know when this is going to happen. So the last phase, or the last one we did, they reached out to everybody individually to ask them if they'd be interested in, and they went on a list. They pre-registered, and they showed up, and they got their vaccine. That was the process, but we don't know what it's going to be next month. We're going to finish phase 1 before we get to phase 2. There's going to be a lot of work that goes into it. Now, we don't know if we'll be doing it or if some of the pharmacies, the hospitals, doctors' offices. We just don't have the answers yet. I wish we did. We were getting a lot of calls, as I'm sure you are, asking to be put on a list, but there is no list. We just don't know where the next phase is going to come, where we're going to go with it, starting next month. So what we would ask is if you could get a message out, like the reverse 911, and just maybe explain how this is going to work. You'll be notified first to see if you're interested before, and then you would give it a time, probably a week or two down the road, when it's going to actually happen.
But with the vaccinations that we had, everybody needed to have at least email, because once the vaccine gets in, they're going to be sent a link to log on and to be able to pick a time, and it'll go from 9 o'clock to 3. Like they did 5 shots every 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be able to do, after I talked to Mr. Curry today, at least 10 shots every 10 minutes, because everybody's registered. You got to have the first shot to get the second one. So it looks like it should move quickly, and once they get through this, I think this next phase, we're going to have it down pretty good. And but it's tough for the seniors that don't have. They're going to have someone else do it, or they're going to have to do a call-in or something. But we didn't run into a problem on the first wave.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
I would just, maybe the senior center outreach coordinator, maybe they could help with the registration aspect of it if it requires email.
Yep.
The school does have Chromebooks that they might be able to at least provide to.
Well, they might be able to go to
necessary.
the senior center and be able to do it. I know our nurse has talked to person in charge and then requested that. So
Excellent.
I guess she's got over 1,000 people already waiting to get a vaccine. So it's still early. We like I said, we don't know when and how this is going to happen, but hopefully next month, at the beginning of the month, we'll have an idea and we'll be able to share it with the board and how we're going to do this.
Great.
So we'll see.
All right. Bless you. Anything else? All right. Keep up the great work. If you need anything, let us know, all right?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Doing a good job. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is review of minutes for January 6, 2021. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All is in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. DeVoe? We'll put that down as 4-0.
Sorry, aye. I was on mute.
5-0. That's all right. I think we have to do him as a roll call, right? We should do him as a roll call? Yeah. Just to be safe? All right. We have a Class 2 motor vehicle license, dealer license public hearing for 546 and 556 Main Street. Dicon Auto Sales, LLC, doing business as Dicon Auto Sales. Thank you. Can you just give your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Diego, last name Floriano. And you want
And-
my address?
Yeah, please.
64 Hildreth
Thank
Street,
you.
Marlboro, Mass.
And what are we looking to do?
Just, sell cars. This is probably the second time that I'm here. The first time when I did the application, I didn't know that I was working on both lots, and each one of them has a different number, so I had to redo the whole application and everything. And
Great.
so I'm back here again, and hopefully we can get this approved.
Terrific. This being a public hearing, I'm going to ask anyone who is in favor of the petition to come forward. Seeing none, anyone who's in opposition, come forward. I'm going to close that part of the public hearing. Does the board have any questions or comments?
What are you looking for the amount of vehicles?
We're just gonna be selling, regular used cars.
How many cars you want on the lot, though?
41.
40-something is down by the fire station on Main
Correct.
Street?
Right in front of it, yes, sir.
40-something, okay. What did the building inspector say?
So far I went through, I called the Board of Health. They explained me the situation about the 556 Main Street, which we don't have a sewage on that, so I can't be washing cars and, doing mechanic stuff like engine and oil and things like that, which I said I understood that. And so I don't know what the building inspector, he should be able to come by and check everything out, right?
If the building inspector check it out first. It
How
seems like a
many,
lot of
how
cars.
many slots are you looking for?
He said 41.
It's 2 lots.
A total of 41?
Yes. Some of it's for the clients. Not all the spots are for selling the cars.
Okay, for purposes of the license, though, we need how many cars for sale you're applying for?
You guys don't have a copy of the plan, huh? Because I gave Denora like 20 copies of it. And there's 41 spots all explained on that, both lots and everything.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm...
Please.
Well, it's not time for a motion yet, is it? Other people have other questions.
If there are other questions? There is a copy in the packet.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the license subject to the building inspector's determination of how many cars are appropriate on that lot.
Okay. So I have to call them and set up an appointment for them to come by?
You'll have to contact the building inspector.
Okay.
Motion
I'll
made
second that motion.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor? Aye. Mr. DeVoe?
Aye.
5-0.
A question. So if the building inspector approves everything, then do I go back here or everything's going to be all set?
No,
No, we've approved
We're
the
good here.
license,
Okay.
but
He gets to
building-
decide
we need
how
the
many.
building inspector to say how many cars you can have on the lot.
Okay. Thank you very much.
good luck.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, you too. Next, we'd like to welcome newly elected State Senator John Cronin. Welcome back to Clinton.
Hey, good to be here. I just want to thank the board for inviting me here tonight to speak and allow me to introduce myself. I'd start with just saying what a privilege it is to be able to serve this town as state senator. I grew up here in the district. My family and myself have spent our lives here in north central Massachusetts, and I've got a lot of fond memories of playing with and against a lot of Clinton kids on the baseball field. I always enjoyed playing with them more than against them. Nobody likes going up against the Gales. And also lots of fond memories growing up in childhood down at the Old Timers on Sunday nights. So all that is to say, I have a deep appreciation for how special a town Clinton is. It's a special community, and it's truly a privilege and an honor to be able to serve with you and the people of this town. I'd like to start by just saying what I hope you can come to expect from my office. The first is that myself and my staff will be present, and I think we've tried to do that already. And I've only been in office since January 6th, but I had a good opportunity last week to visit the senior center, see the services there, meet Debbie Goodsell, talk to a lot of people, and really understand. That's another place in this community where I think Clinton has got it right and is doing a lot of good. I was able to also join my colleague in the House of Representatives, Meg Kilcoyne today, Representative Kilcoyne, and visit Wheat Community Connections down on Main Street, and just see the truly remarkable way that this community has come together to support its vulnerable populations. A year ago, Wheat was preparing and delivering 10,000 meals to people throughout North Central Massachusetts. In the past 12 months, it's delivered 50,000 meals. So it is 5x the capacity and how it's meeting the unmet needs in our communities. And I was just blown away. But again, that's another sign of how strong this community is and how it's rallied over a really challenging 12 months. The other thing you can expect is that my office will be responsive, we'll be present, we'll show up when we're invited, we'll get back to you, and we're going to be collaborative too. I've had a lot of conversations with Senator Chandler, who I share responsibilities with the town with, and also plan to work really closely with Representative Kilcoyne, whether it's a home rule petition or making sure we're working for an earmark for Clinton water treatment, which I know has always been a focus of the delegation representing Clinton. I was excited to see in the economic development bill that passed last week $200,000 for downtown parking and $200,000 for the Clinton Housing Authority. And so I'm going to be working with Representative Kilcoyne and Senator Chandler to identify more opportunities like that to bring back those targeted investments, and to work with the town administrator and you as the board to identify your priorities and how we can be most helpful in the legislature. And I'd like to say one remark about the budget and one remark about the COVID vaccine, and specifically the rollout. And there is so much uncertainty, and I don't have great answers. And to kind of paint the picture, we've got a supply issue right now. We had a briefing with Secretary Sutters last week, the legislative delegation, and to vaccinate everybody that we need to vaccinate in Massachusetts by June, we need to complete 30,000 vaccinations a day. And up to this point, we've averaged, the state receiving from the federal government, 40,000 vaccine doses a week. So until we can scale our supply much greater, we're going to be left with these bad and worse choices in terms of prioritizing through phases. So, the best things I plan to tell people, and I think we can tell all the constituents, is the truth, is that we're going to have to be patient. I believe we're going to have effective federal partners in the coming months here as we scale up this vaccine distribution. But getting through this public health crisis is right now, I think we're left with some of the same unpalatable mitigations that we have been for the last year. And it's unpalatable, but it's necessary, right? We need to wear masks, we need to social distance, and we need to tell our constituents the truth. But other than that, in terms of the budget, I'd like to leave you with one thing, and I'm excited about the opportunities to work with local, state, federal partners over the next 2 years. I think there's an opportunity right now at the federal level for two things. And one, I think, is state and local COVID aid, and a package that I hope can help shore up local budgets that I hope we see in the next year, and potentially an infrastructure package too. So, those are conversations I plan to have at my level with you, but also with the congressional delegation, whether it be Congresswoman Trahan or Representative McGovern. But I'll leave you with, again, it's a great privilege to be here, and I really look forward to collaborating with you and the ability to serve this town, and I'd be happy to take any questions. And I'm sorry, I have one more thing to say, and I'd be remiss not to mention it, but we've got a new state senator and we've got a new representative here, but there's continuity in the offices in really important ways. And the first, which you all know, is Representative Kilcoyne has worked for Rep. Naughton for 10 years, but also Susan Templeton has agreed to join my staff as my district director. So she will be the first point of contact for all of you, for the town administrators. She's worked as the vice president of the North Central Chamber and with Representative Naughton as his staff director for the last 10 years. So she's an incredible asset for our office, and is really going to allow important continuity for this town and the legislature and the delegation and the challenging times we find ourselves in.
Mr. Connolly.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Senator, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come to the sleepy little community of Clinton.
No.
I appreciate you coming. There's two things that I want to leave with you. Is you mentioned telling us the truth. Clinton is about 50% funded by local aid in one way or another, and not knowing what our budget is And good, bad, or indifferent, it's very difficult for us to make the decisions that we're obligated to make. We're negotiating with unions, we're trying to plan how the schools are going to reopen for next year, and we're trying to take care of our essential public services. And we don't know, even now, for sure, what's going to transpire in the next 6 months with this current budget. But more importantly, we're starting our new budget session soon, and we can't go another year not knowing what we're going to be allocated from the state. It's good news or bad news. It's crucial that we have it sooner rather than later. And the second thing, and I know
I would just like to say one thing about now, and just to establish kind of another thing you can expect from me. I do not like overpromising and underdelivering, but I will bring data to the board where I can, and data that I think you need. And I would point to one thing that State House News reported last week. And over the past 6 months, compared to the pre-pandemic 6 months, revenue collections in the Commonwealth are actually up $350 million, more than $350 million. So that does not mean there's not going to be budget uncertainty as we move forward and continue to move through this pandemic. But I think the operating, from my foxhole, cautious optimism is certainly what we're operating under. But you can expect me to bring numbers, not promises. And that's an important one for us all to know, I think.
It's very important for a community like Clinton to, if it's bad news, and the sooner we start making arrangements and start planning and start allocating resources where we need them, the better off we're going to be through this whole process. So personally, I'm just asking that you do everything you can in your capacity as our state senator to expedite the budget process so that we're not left in limbo. And the second thing is, 6 months ago, we passed 4 home rule petitions at town meeting. The most important one to me, anyways, is changing the way our apportionment of allowed liquor licenses is very, very important to the future development of the town of Clinton. And all 4 of those petitions lingered, didn't get addressed during the last session, and I'm asking you as our representative to do whatever you can to touch base on those 4 petitions, where they are in the process, and if there's anything that you can do personally to expedite them. It would help the town of Clinton to move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you again for coming. We look forward to working with you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Best of luck.
And Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. There is no administrative business. We'll move on to old and new business. We have a change of doing business as for Brothers Beer and Wine, an application from 1044 Main Street, Clinton, LLC, to change the name of Brothers Beer and Wine to Brothers Liquor in conjunction with the new category of license. Any information on this? It's pretty straightforward.
Just as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, the ABCC had recently approved the change of category. So now that it's all liquor and not just beer and wine, they asked to change the DBA. It doesn't require hearing, doesn't have a fee attached. It just needs to be approved by the local licensing authority and then sent to the ABCC to be official.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the change of DBA for Brothers Beer and Wine.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Mr. DeVoe?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on. Mr. Kobus would like to bring forward an idea for changing the email system for town employees. Matt?
So I've been speaking with Mr. Ward about the current system that's used and seeing if there's any opportunity for advancement as far as the existing platform is concerned. One of the options would be Google Workspace. The school has transitioned to Google over the last couple of years, and it's simply exploratory to see if it would be of benefit for collaboration between departments, improvement of maybe any efficiency, and the user friendliness. I know that one thing that has come up numerous times would be the sometimes the email is considered to be unresponsive by the community, and I think one particular reason would be the current system is not very user-friendly or mobile-friendly. So I think it would just improve that aspect of it, but it's simply exploratory, and Mr. Ward had sent over some important points to consider on looking at any platform that is being chosen, whether it's Microsoft 365 or staying with the existing one.
So where are we here? Where are we going from here?
So this would basically just be an introduction in whether getting the board's blessing on exploring this, or just establishing, the exploratory nature of it.
And just for public background, Michael, we're on a platform now, and this would be something that's we've also been approached. I know at work we use Microsoft 365. There's different suites for this, so it's just different. Can you just? I guess I'm looking for information, like how difficult this would be to pull off, or pros and cons. I guess maybe we need to take temperature and see how we want to go forward with this.
Well, and I just want to just say that this is simply in looking into that.
Yeah.
So the concern, so there's nothing that...
Okay.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chair, I think right now we just have a very basic email system with Network Solutions. That's the only one we've ever had. I know now a lot of these platforms, whether it's Google or Microsoft Office 365, there's a lot of suites and modules that go with it. So we're limited in what we have. So I think we're always open to any new ideas or new ways of doing things. And Mr. Kovas did reach out, and I did give him kind of some points and that we would be looking at, moving, doing a big move like that. But certainly I think it's a good thing to find out what's out there, how we can better use and function and use those features that we don't have right now. So I know the school has Google Workspace. I know it this much. I'm not real familiar with it, so I'd love to learn more about it and looked at all the different options that are out there and what we can do or should be doing with some of those tools.
Do we need a vote for this? What's your advice here? Do we need a vote?
To encourage the administration to look into, I don't, if it reinforces it, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we encourage the town administrator to look into the research the Google platform for town employees and see if there's a benefit that would be helpful to us moving forward. Just for the record, I don't have a clue about what I just said. I have AOL for email, so but I'm supportive of the rest of the world getting up to speed.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Wow. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? And I would encourage Mr. Kovas to continue sharing information. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Eddie?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
And I think, as I said, Mr. Chair, I think it would be, certainly a process that we need to collect the information, see what the value is, try to bring in other department heads to see how it would work for them, and make sure that when we roll it out, it's really going to be a good thing amongst all departments. But certainly I welcome the opportunity to get more information.
Terrific. Thank you, Matt. You still have the floor as far as department commission periodic presentations.
Absolutely. So, through the search committee for the facilities director, one topic that has come up on several occasions is the concept of operation within silos. And I think when we had discussed previously with the prior facilities director about maybe coming in and doing a monthly check-in, or however periodic it would be, there are other departments that I think, to afford the opportunity to come in and kind of present to the board and the public things that are going on within their departments, and kind of being able to have an opportunity to showcase maybe some things that they have developing. I don't think it has to be anything rigorous in terms of the frequency, but nonetheless having some sort of structured schedule.
I have no problem with that. Could we just, I guess, Mike, you and I can figure out a way to slot these in the agendas? I mean, we're thinking police, fire, facilities,
Library,
DPW, library.
recreation.
Okay.
If we could work with the chair to come up with what departments and how often, and develop a schedule that we can roll out so that they know when they should be coming or not coming, or how often, every department out there, or just the, police, fire, DPW, or, the boards, or everyone. But certainly we can talk further with the chair and set up schedules.
I'll try and come up with a proposed schedule for the next meeting so we can look at it. I'd want them in here somewhat regularly, but not like if we're talking about, regular enough, but not too far. Let's see how many we're talking about and what we have to deal with. So.
I'm in complete agreement, and I think that, when we consider that, we're all working together in a common direction, I think that, to have the familiarity with different departments and the employees, and, to have that rapport, I think is important. I agree with you.
Great. Thank you. Next up is an update on the West Sledge Streetlight project. Mr. Ward?
Just quickly, Mr. Chair, the lights have been installed. The poles are erected. The lights are up. Right now, National Grid is in the process of inspecting the wires, because we did the work. We had our contractor, private contractor, do the work. So National Grid's in the process of inspecting the wires. If everything checks out with inspection, then they'll energize and turn them on and start billing us for that work. So I don't have a time frame on National Grid, but hopefully it should be the next couple of weeks that project will be complete.
Terrific. Any questions from the board? Moving on. Mr. DeVoe was looking for an update on the consolidated financial software.
Just a quick update. I know we talked about the last meeting, Mr. Chair, but we have had a kickoff meeting. We're starting the implementation. Right now, we're getting proposals from consulting firms that are going to develop the chart of accounts, because all the accountants' accounting system and financials will all have to be different to be converted into the Munis system. So that's the big step. That's probably the huge step. When we do the conversion this summer, it's going to start with the chart of accounts in the accountant's office, and then the other modules will follow from there. So it's a big undertaking. The accountant will be, pretty intimately involved, but it's really not something that, can get done with her day-to-day work. So we're going to bring in a firm that would work with her, and they would develop that product. We're looking at companies that have worked with Tyler in the Munis platform before, that they've done it for other communities, and they're familiar with each other, so they know what they're looking for and the expectations. Let's continue to move ahead, and as I said, it's going to be a 6 to 9 month process, so it's going to take a while. But the big part is underway to do the chart of accounts, and then from there it's the ancillary modules, and then the training. The training will be a big thing as well too, because it is a very powerful, robust system, but a little bit complicated as well too. So training is going to.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just had a question if we could possibly get some dates associated with some of those initiatives. I appreciate the input. It sounds great. Sounds like we're heading in the right direction. But even, give or take a couple weeks, I know Mike listed a handful of steps. If maybe at the next Selectmen's meeting, we could just get tentative dates on some of those different steps that Mike was outlining.
We will.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just an update on the Savage Field lighting, if there's anything new.
Yeah, we put a purchase in for the lights. They've been ordered. The lead time is here to be here in early February. And at that time, once we're ready to go, we'll finalize the contractor to do the install. We broke it up into separate contract for the light and contract for the install. So we're just still moving forward. The hope is to have a contract in place the end of this month, and then they'll have to wait for the lights to come in and start the work. We're scheduling the demo to hopefully happen in February, and then the install in March to be wrapped up by April.
Is there any tentative timeline on the installation bidding process?
For the contractor?
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking to get proposals in. The timeline beginning around the holidays slipped a little bit, so the proposals will be in by Friday. I don't know if it's either Friday or that following Monday, whatever the timeline. To get the date. I thought it was that we were either doing that Friday or maybe it'll run into the following Monday, so I'll get the date for you.
Excellent. Yep. Thank you.
Any other old or new business? Committee reports?
Mr. Chairman, under committee reports, it's not really a report, but I'd like to ask if the chair and the town administrator could develop the budget request letter jointly with the finance committee and get that out to the various town departments and maybe start setting up a schedule of budget hearings. All of a sudden, we're going to be up against town meeting, and it moves pretty quick. So, but it's timely now to send out that letter jointly with the finance committee.
Great. Any other committee reports? Hearing none, this board will move into executive session under Article 3 of the Open Meeting Laws to discuss fire union negotiations. We will not be returning to open session. Roll call vote. Mr. Connolly?
Aye.
Mr. Kobus?
Aye.
Mr. Busnow?
Aye.
Mr. DeVoe?
Aye.
And the chair is aye. Thank you. Good night.